Read the transcript of Kamala Harris's exclusive solo MSNBC interview. The Democratic presidential nominee spoke with Stephanie Ruhle about her economic vision to elevate America's struggling working class. This is a full transcript of the exclusive interview of Vice President Kamala Harris by MSNBC's 11th Hour host Stephanie Ruhle. It has been lightly edited for clarity. Ruhle, Madam Vice President, you just laid out your economic vision for the future. Harris, yes. Ruhle, but still, there are lots of Americans who don't see themselves in your plans. For those who say, these policies aren't for me, what do you say to them? Harris, well, if you are hardworking, if you have the dreams and the ambitions and the aspirations of what I believe you do, you're in my plan. I have to tell you, I really love and am so energized by what I know to be the spirit and character of the American people. We have ambition. We have aspirations. We have dreams. We can see what's possible. We have an incredible work ethic. But not everyone has the access to the opportunities that allow them to achieve those things. But we don't lack for those things. But not everyone gets handed stuff on a silver platter. And so my vision for the economy, I call it an opportunity economy, is about making sure that all Americans, wherever they start, wherever they are, have the ability to actually achieve those dreams and those ambitions, which include, for middle-class families, just being able to know that their hard work allows them to get ahead, right? I think we can't and we shouldn't aspire to have an economy that just allows people to get by. People want to do more than just get by. They want to get ahead. And I come from the middle class. Look, my mother raised my sister and me. She worked hard. She saved up. By the time I was a teenager, she was able to buy our first home. And homeownership for too many people in our country now is elusive. You know, gone is the day of everyone thinking they could actually live the American dream. So part of my vision for the economy is, let's deal with some of the everyday challenges that people face and address them with common-sense solutions, such as affordable housing. Ruhle, over the last 4 years, there have been tremendous economic wins. And you have just laid out a big plan. Harris, yes. Ruhle, but still, polling shows that most likely voters still think Donald Trump is better to handle the economy. Why do you think that is? Harris, well, here's what I know in terms of the facts. Donald Trump left us with the worst economy since the Great Depression, when you look at, for example, the employment numbers. Ruhle, it was during COVID, and employment was so high because we shut down the government, we shut down the country. Harris, even before the pandemic, he lost manufacturing jobs, by most people's estimates, at least 200,000. He lost manufacturing plants. Ask the auto workers how he lost auto plants. We have grown over 20 new auto plants. He has an agenda. Let's just deal with it right now going forward, not to mention what happened in the past. He has an agenda that would include making it more difficult for workers to earn overtime. An agenda that would include cutting off access to small business loans for small businesses. An agenda that includes tariffs to the point that the average working person will spend 20% more on everyday necessities and an estimated $4,000 more a year on those everyday necessities. To the point that top economists in our country, from Nobel laureates to people at Moody's and Goldman Sachs, have compared my plan with his and said my plan would grow the economy. His would shrink the economy. Some of them have actually assessed that his plan would increase inflation and invite a recession by the middle of next year. So, the facts remain that Donald Trump has a history of taking care of very rich people. And I'm not mad at anybody for being rich, but they should pay their fair share. But tax cuts for the billionaires and the top corporations in our country, and then not really paying much attention to middle-class families. My perspective on the economy is, when you grow the middle class, America's economy is stronger. And there's empirical evidence to prove my point correct. Ruhle, then let me ask you about taxes, because lots of people will say, I don't like Donald Trump, but he cut my taxes. He didn't just cut corporate taxes. He cut individual taxes. Now, that expires next year. And there's some people confused, saying, I don't know what's going to happen next year. Under a Harris administration, At what income level should someone expect their taxes to go up? And that state and local tax deduction that's currently capped and matters to a lot of people in blue states. Are you going to lift that cap? Harris: So, first of all, when it relates to anybody making less than $400,000 a year, your taxes will not go up. Your taxes will not go up. And in fact, under my plan, taxes for 100 million Americans will actually be cut, including $6,000 a year for young couples for the first year of their child's life and a tax cut, a tax credit, essentially, by expansion of the child tax credit. And why is that? Because during the first year of a young couple, of a child's life, they're going to need help buying a crib, buying a car seat. And we all benefit when they're actually able to do what they naturally want to do to take care of their child. Ruhle: And expanding that child tax credit, or you mentioned housing before, giving that extra money for a first home, if you can't raise corporate taxes, or if GOP takes control of the Senate, where do you get the money to do that? Do you still go forward with those plans and borrow? Harris: Well, but we're going to have to raise corporate taxes. And we're going to have to make sure that the biggest corporations and billionaires pay their fair share. That's just it. It's about paying their fair share. I am not mad at anyone for achieving success, but everyone should pay their fair share. And it is not right that the teachers and the firefighters that I meet every day across our country are paying a higher tax than the richest people in our country. Ruhle: Bill Gates just said it this week. If he was in charge of taxes, he would have paid more. But how do you find that line to make sure corporations are paying their fair share, but they're not leaving our country? Harris: Well, listen, I work with a lot of CEOs. I have spent a lot of time with CEOs. And I'm going to tell you that the business leaders who are actually part of the engine of America's economy agree that people should pay their fair share. They also agree that, when we look at a plan such as mine, that is about investing in the middle class, investing in new industries, investing in bringing down costs, investing in entrepreneurs like small businesses, that the overall economy is stronger and everyone benefits. Part of my plan for the economy is investing in new industries in a way that we have active partnership with the private sector. I have worked with the private sector my entire career. Even as vice president, working with some of the biggest banks and biggest tech companies to increase by billions of dollars the money going into community banks to increase access to capital for small businesses.